Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, doing my review on the brand new Jordan Peele movie, Nope. So, this one's going to be kind of tough, but we're going to go for it. No spoilers on this, spoilers later, as I always do with movies. Uh, so, what did I think of this? I have to say I like this movie. A lot. Like I have seen his other works. I've seen Us, which I enjoyed a lot. I believe I gave that like an 8 or a 9. It's been a while. I saw, but I did not review Get Out because I didn't see it for like a couple of years after it came out. Um, but yeah, that one was great. That was probably his greatest movie. This one I'd say would have to be probably the worst of the three. And that's not to say it's not bad. I thoroughly enjoyed this. So the problem was is it seemed a little long because the first act is it's kind of slow paced. Uh, and I myself don't mind slow burns unless they feel like a slow burn. It was kind of getting to that point, but I mean, once you got into the second act, man, this thing ramped up. It was there was a lot of really cool stuff in this movie where I'm just like whatever. And then the third act, it it again gets interesting, but then there's a point there where things start kind of going a little bit off the rails, and the ending itself, while I go, it wasn't bad, but it left me, disappointed because there were some things which, you know, it's been a couple of days since I've seen it. I saw it on Friday. This is Sunday night. This is probably going to be up sometime Monday morning, right before my vlog gets posted. But anyway, it's it just felt like the payoff wasn't as impactful, if that makes sense. Um, it was still good and it made sense. A lot of like messaging here that is good. It doesn't detract from the movie, and in fact, if you pick up on it, like it actually adds a lot of tidbits here and there, for sure. And I mean, it seemed a little weird how he kind of did the storytelling. Some stuff was done out of sequence, but it made sense in the out of sequence. You have like parts of the film which have as stuff like Lucky, um, a couple of other horse names, and then Jean Jacket, which we'll get into later. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting in terms of the cast itself. Like it was great. You have Daniel Kaluuya, who was in the first breakout role in Get Out. He was in Black Panther, if you remember that. Um, so he's actually come a long way because that was his breakout role, and I thought he did great. Like just the character that he portrayed. So I mean, it's not a spoiler per se. Like he's the owner of a horse ranch. Beyond that, I won't get into it until spoilers. But I mean, yeah, if you've seen the trailers, you know this. And if you don't watch trailers, what are you doing watching a review? So, I mean, I do my best to keep spoilers out of this first part, but yeah, it's. I mean, there's going to be some stuff that is going to be based on the spoilers where I'm going to tell. So, but anyway, let's see who else. Kiki Palmer. So I don't necessarily remember her from anything. I'm trying to look up what she was in here. Oh wow, she was in Barbershop too, way back in 2004. So she's done some. She's definitely done some things. Looks like her most recent stuff was like Nickelodeon stuff. Wow, she was. Oh, she in the slasher. Oh gosh, that was a terrible. Uh, but yeah, so she's in this. I thought she did an amazing job for what she was. So they play brother and sister, and then the other main was is Stephen. I I'm gonna struggle to say this. Yen. I'm not entirely sure how to say it. I apologize. He is in this as well. You know, you should recognize him from like Walking Dead fame. That's what I mainly know him as. I'm looking at his filmography right now. I don't really remember Oh wow, he voices something in Invincible. I'm not going to get too into that, but anyway, so this is a nice little role for him, and yeah, like all the performances in this, like even the side characters, they were spot on. It was actually really well performed. Um, so I mean, I personally think the casting was great for this. There were a few issues like with some of the actors with the lower voices doing the sort of Western thing where it was a little hard to understand them. Fortunately, I went to one with subtitles. I do like to watch with subtitles. So I got that. Um, how about the effects? The effects were. There were some really good effects. There was some bad CGI though. Um, I can't really get into it without spoilers. But I mean that's nature of the beast sort of CGI. Um, all in all, like everything looked beautiful. Um, aside from like when there was a lot of stuff going up on screen, it looked a little strange, but otherwise, yeah, it looked great. And the music, like it's hit spot on. So this thing sort of sells itself as sort of a sci-fi horror movie, and I'm not sure that that's right because with the exception of like one jump scare, and there was one, um, I didn't really feel scared on this. I would put this as more like in thriller territory, um, to be completely honest. Because I mean, it's not bad. It's just and there definitely are like there is tension in this movie where you're just like, what's gonna happen, and stuff is happening fast, especially once you get to the second act and just seeing it ramp up all the way to the third act, at least the first half of the third act, and but there's never a point where you're just like, this is scary. There's a point where you're just like, I mean, there are points where you're just like, what is going on? What are they gonna do? Stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily portray this as a horror. Um, this is definitely much more in like thriller territory to me, And some people may disagree with that, but that is just my opinion. Ooh, what else can I say about this? Um, not a whole lot. I think I'm gonna go right into the final verdict on this one because it's really hard to like explain some of these things without really going into spoilers. So, how would I classify this? I'm probably gonna give this. I'm gonna give it an 8, to be honest, because I really enjoyed this. I do think this is one you should go and see in theaters. Just be aware that it does have a slow first act. It takes its time getting going. So if you just do not like slow burns, I wouldn't recommend seeing it in theaters. However, if you don't mind that, and you don't mind, and you like stuff ramping up to something, you know, this is a pretty good watch. Once again, I personally thought that the ending was a little disappointing, but still cool, and it still worked. It just was it wasn't quite what I was expecting. Um, the casting was great, the performances were amazing, the effects were a little hit and miss, but I mean, for the most part, I was so into the movie and the story and what was going on that I mean, most people who just go to a movie to see a movie, not a critic like myself, they might not mind it. It's good. It's I think the story itself is pretty good. The effects, you might notice some hookiness, especially when a lot's going on screen, but for the most part, it does a pretty solid job. So yeah, I'd say 8 of 10 for that. So we'll go ahead and jump right into spoilers here. So I'll see you guys then. Hey guys, it is Rapmark here. So back with the spoilers to Nope. Um, so first of all, you start, not on the horse ranch where the main characters are at, but you start on this sound stage for a made up sitcom called Gordy's Home, uh, which you find out later. But anyway, and you are literally you hear these thuds and this screaming and this, or is that the second one? On the first one, I think you just see this chimp sort of walk up to this to one of the actors who I believe is dead. Uh, Man, in the second one, it just shows everything, and it doesn't show everything, but it you don't really your imagination can fill in the blanks for what you're not seeing, and it's brutal. So this blood covered chimp comes and like sees if this actor's like gonna move, and then throws its hat off, and then we cut away to the, and this is in what year is this? 1998, and then we go to present day where where Otis Hayward Sr. And he is played by Keith David, who he's been in a lot of stuff. He has a great voice and he's a great actor who is I've seen him in a lot of stuff. I've seen him play a gangster. I've seen him play, now a Western boy. I've seen him play all sorts of roles. So uh, I thought he was going to be a little more prominent in this, but no, they take him out really early. Like he's talking to his son OJ, and suddenly, you know, stuff just starts falling. So you're wondering what's going on. And I mean, essentially, so what it is there's a UFO. They don't know what it is. And what is it? It is not a spaceship filled with aliens. It is some sort of alien creature that essentially eats you if you look at it. It hides in clouds, and we'll get into more obviously, but yeah. So I guess it has it is it's not clear how its digestion actually works. It kind of shows people getting eaten and going. I don't know if they're in its stomach or they're going up into its stomach to be digested, but essentially it goes somewhere where it just spits out all of the non-edible stuff because they're going really fast. Like terminal velocity would not allow those objects to go that fast. So that's a bit of an inconsistency unless they want to explain it like that, it's spitting it down. But even then, like if it's super high up, wind pressure is still going to slow those things down because a quarter essentially goes into his dad's eye and kills him. And I mean, that's that. So we go into that. And then, so it's the business itself. Uh, they lend out their horses to Hollywood. And here's the problem now that the senior guy's out of the way is OJ himself, he's not a big people person. He's kind of quiet. He doesn't look at people. Um, when he's trying to give the safety briefing, he's not looking at people. He's kind of muttering. He's quiet, and no one really respects him. um, and then his sister comes in. She's very charismatic, but she's kind of flaky. She apparently just views this as a side gig. She does a lot of other stuff. I don't know how successfully, but yeah, she apparently wasn't very into the whole horse training thing, and she kind of just does her own thing. And that's one thing I will say I did enjoy about this because neither of the characters, for me at very first, was very likable. But as the story progressed, you saw growth within the characters and within their own relationship with each other. And, I did like that aspect of it. I thought that was very strong and it didn't seem forced. So, yeah, they're filming this commercial and the crew fails to respect it, and the horse reacts violently, and they're fired. And because they're not doing so well, uh, OJ has to sell horses to Jupiter, as he is called. So what he does, so he is essentially, you find out he was a child actor who was on this sitcom, Gordy's Home, um, and he sort of is stuck in that heyday. I mean, he has a shrine to it, and he's kind of just set up this whole, carnival attraction called Jupiter's Claim. That of surviving that incident for profit. I mean, he has a whole shrine that shows like the fist bump, uh, posters, memorabilia, and he charges admission to it. Apparently, though I can't remember if he charged the Haywoods for it. But yeah, he showed him everything. But yeah, so OJ has to sell the horses for him, and eventually he's just like, I'm gonna buy them back. And he's just like, we'll talk about that later. Because you find out that essentially what he's doing is he is feeding the horses to this alien creature under the belief that that they are just being sucked up and abducted into this spaceship, not realizing that they are literally being eaten. Um, so yeah, it's kind of he's got a lot of hubris. But anyway, yeah, M is encouraging him to sell the ranch to Jupe. Jupe, of course, just wants the horses for food. And apparently that why she's this way, that she doesn't like, she's not into the horse training, is because her dad promised her to train her own horse, and it's revealed in flashback that they didn't. She was inside. She looked out the window and saw them training her horse, and apparently that's why. So here we go. Like, and again, all this takes place under a lot. Like, there's, every once in a while, again, it comes up with a name of a horse as they talk about it. Um, Lucky, Patches, I think. I know Jean Jacket was one. So Jean Jacket is what they named the creature, which was named after, I guess, an older one, an older horse. But yeah, you find out, the electricity goes out because this creature just shuts down all electricity, and horses are disappearing and just violently, like, they're scared to death of something, you know. And again, they discover that this thing is like, so he notices it first at night, and then because it's going from cloud to cloud, so it moves around in the clouds. It can, I guess, create a cloud to hide itself when it's like sleeping or just up in the sky doing something. But yeah, this is apparently a territorial um, carnivorous creature that eats horses, people, and then spits out the inorganic matter like freaking bullets. So OJ and his sister, what is her name? Emerald. Emerald. So they decide they're going to try to get the money shot, the Oprah shot, as they refer to it, of this UFO. So they go to Fry's Electronics, which was an old electronics chain that no longer exists. I think the pandemic finally killed it off. Uh, but yeah, but they get to get a camera system to get set up, and one of the employees goes to set it up because they're just like, because they don't want to let anyone know what they're doing it for. But he kind of figures it out when they're telling him to like set the cameras pointed up, and then he illegally like logs in to their system. And yeah, that's how he finds out what it's all about. So the first time they see it with the camera, they get nothing because the camera that can directly see it is out because, it shuts down electronics. But one farther away that could get a shot of it also ends up getting covered by a praying mantis. So they end up getting no shot, but they know that they saw it. So the employee is the one who notices the cloud that never moves, and OJ's just like, I swear I've seen that cloud for a good 6 months, and hence that is like 6 months is the time that he has been selling his horses to Jupiter. So yeah, it's just like, man, that is some weird, messed up stuff. And at some point, they steal one of the horses and the flags, and the creature sucks it up, which apparently like hurts it, harms its digestion or whatever. And so it's supposedly avoids flags. It does kind of break that a little bit, but I mean, if you know anything about wild animals, there's a difference between a deterrent and a rule. Like, even if an animal associates like something like a flag or a string or a certain color as being bad and either avoiding it or attacking it, that's not an absolute rule. Like if the thing is like obviously bigger than itself, if it's a threat, get out of its way, or if it's something that is in its way from getting to somewhere or something that it wants to get, it will attack. So again, with wild animals, I get it. It wasn't the best portrayed here, given with how the movie ended, which I'll get into in just a little bit here. Um, but I do get it. It's not a set rule that it won't attack anything with, colorful flags because it had a bad experience. But it does seek to avoid it, and it does portray that. Um, so anyway, um, so after they deduce that, um, Jupiter he has this huge claim, but actually no, so first, so this is about halfway through. It then shows what happened on the set that day of Gordy's home, and essentially what happens is it's like his birthday, and one of the chimps that plays Gordy, one of the balloons pops and it sends him off the deep end. So he just mauls everyone. So, what you end up seeing is I think it's the mother creature just literally just being just down on the ground, still alive. The chimp's still freaking out. She moves, tries to get away, and then he jumps on her, literally beats her to death, and like kills her. I don't know if he like rips her throat out with his teeth or what, but yeah, it's brutal. And then the dad character of it, it's just like, what are you doing? He comes out and it's just like, and that and the chip is just like establishing its territory, and then he tries to run. He gets jumped on by the chimp and then beaten to death as well. Like, holy crap. And it never shows the daughter creature, but you find out later that she was mauled pretty bad too. Like, I guess her face was like really torn up, or like her upper lip was just completely ripped out because, like, when you see her later, she's in a sort of veil that covers her face, and it's like this horrible like scarring. It's pretty bad, and she's in a wheelchair. Uh, so yeah, and then the chimp calms down upon seeing, like, you see the point where you saw in the first clip, and then the chimp sees Jupiter, calms down, goes toward him, and is going for a fist bump. but before they can complete it, it gets blasted in the head, and so that ended Cordy's home because, man, it was a brutal, brutal sort of scene. Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, that's where we go back to Jupiter. He's doing the Star Lasso experience and is using the horse as the bait to lure out the UFO in front of an audience. So the problem is again, like if you look at it, it will eat you. You know, I understand the whole like staring at a wild animal's eyes and like usually triggers a defense mechanism like you're challenging me, so we're gonna fight. But I mean, you don't see this thing's eyes. But I mean, I do kind of get what they're trying to do here. But anyway, the UFO arrives and it literally devours Jupe, all of his kids, his wife or girl or whatever, uh, and the audience, and it just sucks them up. And then you see them being sucked up and going up into this tube, which again I don't know if that's like its esophagus and it's going to its stomach, or if it literally just holds them because again you see it flying over the house later during a rainstorm when it can just go, and it just you know stuff is going out and you hear this horrible like screaming noise, and I'm ass- I'm assuming, I could be wrong, that the noise that it actually is that's coming out of it is actually the screaming from the still living people inside of it. And then all of a sudden like it stops, and then there's just blood pouring down on the house and all this inorganic matter. So I Man, that would suck being stuck inside a creature for like a day and then just to be suddenly just whatever, squished, digested quickly. I don't even know, chewed to pieces. Again, I have no idea. But yeah, it was that was a gnarly, gnarly scene. So yeah, that's where they determine that it's actually a creature, and it's asserting dominance, and that's why it eats anything that looks at it. So OJ kind of thinks that he can get the footage without being eaten. So yeah, Jean Jacket is what they named it. So all right, so they fail a second time to actually get it on camera, but yeah, that like it was crazy. Like that whole, and I'm gonna go back to that scene again. That whole scene of the rainstorm with the creature just hovering over the house and like that's crazy. And then it sort of moves because so OJ went over to um, Jupiter's claim to talk about the horses, get Lucky back, and man, Lucky is the luckiest horse alive. This horse is freaking amazing. uh, but yeah, so he sees that no one's there. Like the sort of amphitheater where people are is kind of trashed from everyone just being sucked into this creature. And yeah, it's just yeah, it's nuts. So he goes over back, picks up Lucky, goes back to the house, but obviously the car stalls because the electric shuts off. The creature sort of moves over the truck, and he just like opens the door, looks up, sees this creature's mouth, and he's just like, nope, nope, nope. That's right. He just noped out of that situation. So anyway, they do hire Holst. What is his full name? Antlers Holst. What a weird, interesting name, I guess. But anyway, who was the cinematographer for the commercial shoot they were doing at the very beginning of the movie. So the way he's talking to them, he's just like, you're talking about the shot, the dream shot where you don't wake up from, something like that. Um, and it's not established if he's going to come, but he does. And what he does is he brings one of the old school hand cranked film cameras to capture the footage. And they have everything planned out. They have like all these little air creatures to see like where the power outages is going to be. Um, and stuff to lure the creature out. And then what sort of throws all this in flux is a TMZ reporter comes out of nowhere, tries questioning Emerald, and then it just like takes off to go get this creature, and then it stalls because the creature shuts down the electricity. Then the creature is just like attracted by this sound, I guess, and he just flies, and he's just hurt bad. And then he wants to film. He wants to get the shot. Like, I have no idea how one TMZ reporter like found out about all this and why he'd only bring himself to this. Like this that seems a little bit weird, but you know what? We'll go with it. Like I said, this is stuff like stuff like that is just me nitpicking, pulling up stuff that I noticed. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, I didn't see it as a big deal because, again, I'm so invested in the story and the characters at this point that I'm just like, whatever, I can let this pass. And most of you should too. But I still have to talk about it because it is something I did notice. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, OJ attempts to save him, whereas the reporter gets consumed, and he's just begging OJ to film the event. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And then for some reason, Holst is just like, we don't deserve the impossible, something like that, some other line like that. And this is where it kind of starts to go a little off the rails for me, because I'm just like, what is this? I mean, it's clearly messaging. It was a little bit over my head. I'll admit straight up. But yeah, he takes the camera and he allows himself to get devoured along with the camera. And in the meantime, Angel, who is the tech salesman guy who helped them set up the security system, has also been helping them try to get footage of this UFO. He actually got stuck in the house during that rainstorm where the creature was hovering over their house, just spitting out blood and inorganic matter. So he's just freaking out. So anyway, they have to separate. He Angel gets lucky. He gets wrapped up in some barbed wire. Uh, and as he's getting sucked up, so because I guess he apparently looked at the creature while it was sucking up Holst, and so he almost got sucked up himself. It was kind of weird. Like I could forgive anyone for saying it didn't look like he was looking at it because most of the time he wasn't. Like it's an assumption by me that the only reason that the creature felt that he was looking at him and therefore had to be eaten is because he probably was looking at him as he was eating Holst. But yeah, the barbed wire saves his life uh, because it can't suck him up, and then it takes off, and he's all right. I mean, he should be far more hurt than he is, considering that's like straight up barbed wire. Um, but yeah, I get. We'll move on from that, and then so OJ lures the alien away from M. So he grabs the motorcycle. No, he's on Lucky. Again, the luckiest freaking horse in this whole movie. He's on Lucky, and he looks at the creature that goes into this like different form. It's almost like a jellyfish mixed with a kite. It looks absolutely beautiful. Uh, like I thought it was really interesting looking. And then he backs up while Emerald grabs the TMZ. So he lures the creature away from her far enough away to where she can get it. And then she takes off, screaming at it and then just staring at it. And it chases her all the way to Jupiter's claim. So, and this is something I also didn't get. Like, again, the ending. So, essentially, what happens is she gets there, the creature's after her. And man, it opening its mouth in this form is like super weird. It's like this crazy, like again, like so kite, but like almost like a cephalopod. Like mouth. It's it's amazing. Like I love the way this thing looks. But anyway, so it's chasing her in this form, um, and to sort of and I don't know how she comes down to this because she takes the helium balloon and untethers it so it floats up, and then I mean I guess it sees its eyes and it's just like it's staring at me, I must eat this, so it consumes it. And while this is happening, because it's sort of just hovering out of range, there's a analog camera in the wishing well, and there happens to be change everywhere. So she uses it just like to constantly take pictures. And finally she gets the money shot of it eating this balloon, and then this balloon going in there, it explodes and the creature just sort of drifts down like a kite, so it kind of crashes. And so Jean Jacket's dead, and she has the picture. There's sort of some onlookers like outside of there, but she sees OJ on his horse outside the park. So OJ made it. It was not He was not eaten before Emerald got away. But it just seems really weird. Like again, this thing had like flags on it. And again, like I sort of gave the disclaimer again, there's a difference between a hard rule and just an association with a wild animal. It wasn't very well portrayed in this, in my opinion. And I'm just like, all right. Now I thought it was a cool way for it to die, but again, like, and again, the fact that it would be just right in the perfect spot to get a picture of that analog cat, it was a bit convenient. Like the way that this movie wraps up, like it makes sense, but it's it just is really convenient, and yeah, I have no idea, but I mean, it was beautiful. Uh, and I enjoyed it tremendously. So yeah, that's why I gave this an 8. You know, you should go out and see this. This is actually really, really good. I love the whole message again of like man versus nature and the hubris of thinking that you can, tame nature or, creatures like this that, that Jupe portrayed, where, if you kind of know the rules, you can kind of catch a creature in its own trap, in its own sort of patterns and habits. So yeah, I like this movie. I think you should definitely go see it. 8 of 10 for sure. And I think that is it for this review. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.